though. It's going to be TSM versus Beastcoast. Now, both of these teams coming off losses in their last day of play. TSM getting bodied by Parabellum, and Beastcoast losing in overtime to Astralis. So tough losses for both of these teams coming in. Beastcoast out. They can still play spoiler. TSM with a chance to get through, but they need a lot of good things to go their way.
It's going to be such a stretch for TSM to actually make it at this point. For context, just because they get 3 points today over Beastcoast, if that even ends up being the result, it's also dependent upon their round count. Their best chance in this game is to beat Beastcoast 7-0, because as it stands, they're a -4 on round differential, which means they need as many rounds as they can possibly get in this matchup, and then hope that guys like Astralis and Space Station don't get more points on their own round differential, or it's not a one-sided game. They need to win this one and win it as fast as possible.
Oh yeah.
Not huge implications for other teams through this game, but a couple of odds definitely changing up. You look at the Sonics, for example. They're hoping for a Beastcoast win here. Still decent chance for them to make it to the major if TSM win, but certainly their numbers are looking a little bit better if Beastcoast get that dub and take the points away from TSM.
It's also worth noting that this is an 8th versus 9th place game. TSM sitting at 12 points, Beastcoast sitting at 10. If for some reason we see Beastcoast get a 3-point victory here, it knocks TSM down to 9th place, which is the worst spot you want to be after very obvious improvement from stage 1, because that's where they were in stage 1.
I mean, it's tragic because those bottom 2 teams don't even get any SI points, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So if you don't even place in the points, you're kind of just not going back to SI, I feel like, at this point. It would be so difficult for TSM to make it back again next stage if they end up 9th.
Yeah, back-to-back qualifiers and right into the SI winning. Maybe that's just the play. TSM worked for them once.
I guess you make it exciting, right? Well, let's talk about TSM a little bit more in depth. Like we were just talking about, it's been really rough for this team. They started out so strong. They were on top of the league even for a moment or two there in the middle of the stage, but now find themselves way outside the possibility, or the likely possibility, of going to a major, like we just looked at.
Outside the guaranteed possibility.
Exactly. They need a lot of good things to happen today.
Yeah, so far throughout the stage, the last couple of games especially, doesn't look like their clears have been super good. They've been losing a lot of entries over on attack. I think for this game, for TSM, you look at the difference between their first 2 weeks versus the last 2 weeks, and their stats have fallen off a cliff. Attacking win rate going from 63 down to 45, defense 48 to 35, and opening pick as well. Those first 2 weeks were great from TSM. Of a 12 possible points, TSM got 10 of them. They were first place after week 2. And then throughout their next 4 games, they got just 2 points in an overtime win. TSM have really been struggling after that halfway point hit in our stage. And listen, nobody wants to see this from TSM. All right, this is your favorite team. This is Bolo. It's what everybody loves to watch. But unfortunately, this has just been another case of them dropping the ball halfway through a stage, falling to pieces. And I really hope that this can be the game where they show up and they prove themselves, that they're not going to fall and be a bottom 2 team once again. But even if they make it, that doesn't mean that the major is theirs.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is it, though. This is their last chance to try to do it. Like we said earlier, they got to win it, and they've got to win it by a lot, get that map differential. Meanwhile, on the other side of the arena are a team that are not going to Berlin. We already know that Beastcoast has been eliminated from major contention, and that makes them dangerous, I think. That makes them a risky team to play against, because they're a team with nothing to lose, right? And when you play against a team with nothing to lose, oftentimes they're going to throw weird stuff at you. They're going to play with a higher level of confidence just because they don't care, you know, to a certain extent. They're going to be having fun with it. So, yeah, they're going to be scary, I think.
They came into this stage and they had a decent idea of how they were going to structure themselves, because in stage 1, they were on the cusp of going to Charlotte. They were right there. If they didn't lose to Mirage, maybe they very clearly actually do go in the first place. But it comes down to what it feels like, the performances of 2 players in particular. I went back and I checked the statistics of every game that Beastcoast have played so far this stage. In every single win, it's been Sweater and Surf having fantastic performances. You have the odd game where like Slash Hug did well to a point where you didn't even have to worry about Sweater doing nearly as much, but you can't rely on those kinds of performances all the time, and this team needs both of those players to do well, or they don't win matchups, or they don't I guess, eke out a win when it's a very close 7-5. If it's very reliant on those two players, that makes sense because you want guys who are very frag heavy, very entry focused, guys who are first into the building, creating this kind of space. But for this Beastcoast team, if they don't do well, they lose games, and that's an issue.
Yeah, they're either going to be laid back and chill for this one because the pressure's off, or they're going to be mad. Either way, they're dangerous. Let's find out what map we're going to, though. The bans are in, and it's time to figure out where TSM's last stand is going to be.
Skyscraper border off the map ban first. Skyscraper, the map that these two teams played last stage. It was a 7-2 win for Beastcoast. You understand why TSM didn't want to play it. I thought maybe they would give it another shot because Beastcoast did have that rough game against Mirage on Sky, but they're going to take it out of the pool anyways. Villa and Cafe coming through. Villa, a ban being utilized by TSM. They're on a 3-game losing streak here. After SI has ended, they've lost to Astralis, Exit, and Parabellum. That's their 3 plays throughout the year that they've had. Then we get Theme Park Clubhouse, that theme park game, one that Beastcoast have actually struggled on. This was the one time that I thought maybe TSM would try theme park again after such a rough stage 1 on it against Beastcoast. You know, they really struggled here, but they don't go there instead.
These last 3 maps are ones that neither team really has that high of a ban rate on. Technically, the one that we're seeing here is the one that one of these teams has banned for half of their matchups so far, and that's TSM. They do have a win on it this stage, and it was a pretty decent game. It was rather close. Only 60% of their wins came on attack, 67% on defense. Beastcoast have not played it so far this stage. They did have a couple of attempts on it back in stage 1, but they were only 1-1 on it. It's a map they like. It's in their pool. No one's really been willing to face them on this map very often in the past several months. So it'll be nice to see a relatively even battleground between both these squads.
Well, we'll see what happens. TSM doesn't want it to be that even, though, so...
No, they need as many rounds as they can get while Beastcoast win nothing. Let's just make that very clear.
Yep, that's right. So, one thing we also have to make clear is the predictions. It's time to start the final day of predictions as well. It's been a wild one. It's been a very difficult to predict stage for many, many reasons, as we know already. But first, we're going to talk to our casters, Blue and Stokes. How you doing, gentlemen? Have you made up your minds with this one yet?
Yeah, I think it's pretty straightforward for me. Ultimately, TSM's still looking to qualify here. As we were saying, they need a lot of rounds to be picked up. They're obviously going to be aware of those stakes coming into this matchup, so I'm going to hope that they have put a lot of prep behind this one and are going to be focusing up for this matchup. So my prediction is going to be a strong swing towards TSM.
All right, TSM for Blue. What do you think, Stokes?
You know, I'm just going to sound off really in the same way that Blue did. I completely agree with them. I think that TSM is going to be the taker of this one. Now, I don't know how close it's going to be. I really hope they can inch it out there and try and get like a 7-2 or something like that. But Beast Coast or Riley, so you really never know what's going to happen when they're on the field.
True enough. All right, 2 for TSM. We'll get back to our casters in a moment when the map begins. Let's talk to the analysts, though. I mean, TSM, no doubt they're coming into this one wanting to win more. Is that going to be enough?
I mean, for me, they've been trending downward a lot over the past, I'd say, 2 weeks or so, which is enough of a concern. I think they take this one, but I think it's like a 7-5 or an 8-7, which even though it's an overtime victory, for TSM, that still puts their chance at, what, 4 or 5%, maybe somewhere less. Yeah, it's really, really bad if your chance is in the single digits. So I'll give the edge because I don't like the way Beastcoast has been attacking recently, but is that enough for TSM to qualify? My answer is going to be no.
Yeah, I don't know. Oregon's a map that we've seen TSM kind of struggle on. You know, they managed to lose it in the first stage, and then this stage they played it against Mirage and got the win. Beast Coast, they really did like it when they played it back-to-back in stage 1. Also, I feel like this is just one of those games where TSM are going to troll and Beast Coast walk away with the dub. So yeah, let's say it. I'm going Beast Coast for this one. I have faith that, that they'll get the upset.
All right, spicy predictions. Bold move for the person currently in the lead for predictions-wise, but maybe that's why
you're about to lose it.
There's a reason I'm in the lead.
There you go. Well, it's time to flip the coin, and the 1884 Morgan silver dollars taking a break for the final day of the stage. Instead, we've got a 1976 John F. Kennedy bicentennial dollar to flip as, or not a dollar, half dollar to flip this time. As per the graphic, it's going to be heads. TSM Beast Coast will be tails. Let's flip it. Oh. Coin says tails. Coin says Beast Coast. Interesting.
We needed a bit of a split here.
Interesting.
I respect that. That's fine.
The other coin was struggling on the pick rate, so I'm glad we swapped it out. I got faith that this new coin will do a little bit better.
It was a rough stage for the coin as well. Yeah, we'll see if Subcoin does look better today. Let's see what the fan vote is, though, for this one. Of course, it's going to be TSM.
Poll,
like,
so
why do you even
ask?
Yeah, obviously it's TSM. It is an online poll. It will always go to TSM. Speaking of polls, let's check out our community poll question for you to mull over as we go into our first game. It's going to be who's more powerful, sweater with cat ears or merc with a banana?
Sure.
Well,
okay.
I don't know. Only you can decide. We're going to take a quick break, and when we return, a vital game for TSM. Their backs against the wall. Can they win big and give themselves a better chance of going to the Berlin Major? We'll find out when we come back.
I've really been addicted to you. All of my attention I've been giving to you. Caught up in my feelings, I got feelings for you. Caught up in my feelings, I got feelings for you. On my mind, I can't lie. On my mind, I can't lie. Pull you down till you dry. Pull you down till you dry. All the time, ease my mind. All the time, ease my mind. I know that you're dangerous, I'm addicted to you. I might rent the Lambo and go drive it like it's stolen. I've been living wild, I'm just going through the motions. Stumbling out the Uber, grab my hand, gave me a notion. Swimming in your water, but it feels just like the ocean. I can't lie, I've really been addicted to you. All of my attention I've been giving to you. Caught up in my feelings, I got feelings for you. Caught up in my feelings, I got feelings for you. On my mind, I can't lie. On my mind, I can't lie. Pull you down till you dry. Pull you down till you dry. All the time, ease my mind. All the time, ease my mind. I know that you're dangerous, I'm addicted to you. I was sipping more for 2 years straight to the face. Champagne belly bubble still won't go away. Last year my best man hit a stain with bad face. Now he's got a L behind the water's cold case. I wake up with pain sometime and never go away. Wonder why I bow to my knees when I pray. In my city gritty, gotta keep it on your waist. Or you might be a victim, they'll find you DOA. I can't lie, I've really been addicted to you. All of my attention I've been giving to you. Caught up in my feelings, I got feelings for you. Caught up in my feelings, I got feelings for you. On my mind, I can't lie. On my mind, I can't lie. Pull you down till you dry. Pull you down till you dry. All the time, ease my mind. All the time, ease my mind. I know that you're dangerous, I'm addicted to you.
I'm Bolo, and this is the NAL.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the NAL. It's time to get started with our first matchup of the day as we get ready to try and qualify a few more teams to lock them in for the upcoming major. About to be an interesting one to start things off. Obviously, things are quite tense for TSM, but for Beastcoast, couldn't be more relaxed, as obviously they have already had their say, their chance to qualify for the major, and unfortunately, they have not been able to make it over the top of the mountain there, so they are not really playing for a whole lot today, except for maybe a little bit of boost in their standings and possibly some SI points and season prizing to be gained from that. For TSM, though, there's a lot more on the line, so let's start talking about what exactly we can expect from them in this matchup.
Well, we're going to be looking at this matchup quite often from their point of view today, given the circumstances like you were talking about. They're trying to get as many rounds as they potentially can without Beastcoast getting any, so they're really looking for like a 7-1, 7-2 if they can muster it. But I think the big thing to talk about as to how things could really go awry here is we got to talk about Oregon. Oregon's been a really weird map through these last two stages where we've seen a lot of topsy-turvy plays come from some of the lower hanging teams on the tree, and they've been able to get over some really big dubs on a lot of the upper echelons. So I'm a little worried for TSM here, but that doesn't mean that they can't just outright win it out. It just feels like Oregon could really keep things close, and that's not necessarily what TSM wants.
We'll have to see, though, because it might just be kind of a safe play from TSM, given that, as Jesse was showcasing on the desk there, things have been a little bit rocky for TSM over the past few weeks. Great start to stage 2, but things just haven't really been solidifying themselves as well as I think the team would have liked. Oregon is a very safe map in that respect. There's not a whole lot of room for innovation. Yes, that applies to your team's strategy as well, but it applies just as heavily to your opponent's strategies too. So you generally always know what's going to be thrown at you over the course of a round, and that may be the play here from TSM, just try to make this as predictable of a match as they possibly can.
Yeah, it's probably the best way to go about it. You know, if you're looking at it with the critical eye, you really want to know what the other team is going to be capable of. And I think the other thing is that Beastcoast does have a couple plays on Oregon in recent history as well, so they have some VOD to work off of in that regard, which could be extremely beneficial, just depending on what information they're able to extract from that. And I mean, the big thing that we've been talking about for Beastcoast, speaking of them, has really been their scrappiness throughout these stages and their willingness to go for some plays that other teams aren't. I think the two big ones, both happening on Bank actually, being their play inside of open area with the Amaru hook and plant inside of that area, and then we also had the double drop into the retake of bottom square. Two people rotating, and I believe taking out, I think, TSM, but could be somebody else at that moment in time. But either way, Beast Coast definitely having that play style where it's starting to catch people, well, it was initially starting to catch people pretty off guard, but a lot of people having an understanding nowadays of how BC wants to handle their map control.
Yep, we'll have to see if they're going to potentially try to throw anything like that out today. Once again, given the circumstances here and the fact that they're not really playing for a whole lot in today's matchup. Obviously not the case for TSM, but for Beast Coast, there isn't really a whole lot to lose if things go awry here. So like we saw to some extent with Mirage in their last Playday, after things have been solidified for them, we're going to have to see now if Beast Coast will also be freed up a little bit, and that'll add a bit of confidence to the team's play behind some of those more unorthodox strategies. We'll have to wait and find out. We are a little bit delayed here, by the way, folks. I think we were waiting for like a client update or something along those lines, but as soon as we have that resolved, we're going to be hopping in game and starting things out here to see which team will best to start things out today.
Yes, indeed, and I'm excited to see how this ban phase is going to go here for Oregon, because we've had quite a few hampering bans as of late when it comes to this map, so I want to see if they'll try and go for something more in the hard breach vein, or if they'll just outright get rid of something like Finka and try and slow down Sweater's play a little bit. There's a lot of options currently on both sides of the coin to try and pull away from the other team and see if it could potentially have impact on their lineup. Another one being Azami, which as of recently has been one of the most banned defenders inside of North America. I don't know her current percentage right now, but I'll pull it up for you guys here soon. But Mira and Valkyrie still right up there, just as per usual.
Have started to see, obviously because of Azami being swapped in for the ban, more play out of operators like Mira and Valkyrie. It's kind of comes hand in hand with the elimination of Azami that we started to see those operators a lot more. I'd be very surprised if Mira ends up making it through the ban pool, considering this is a map where she could have a lot of extra power if she's allowed in, but like I said, we've been seeing the meta shift a little bit since the inclusion of Azami, so it wouldn't be a huge far cry if we ended up going in that direction.
She actually has a 55% ban rate right now inside of NA, which is a far cry actually from the EUL, where it's hanging inside of the 20s actually. It's the third most banned operator across the pond, so a little interesting difference in play styles and just thinking what is effective for some of the teams that they have to go up against. So that means that more than likely we'll have an Azami ban here today. Now, the thing is that Oregon doesn't necessarily need that. You know, I think Azami has a lot of really effective plays on this map, and to be honest with you, she's really effective on the majority of maps, but you know, it's not something where you can't necessarily get past it. The top floor defense is pretty complex with the ways that she can set herself up around dorms and things along those lines, but past that, it's fairly straightforward. Just give you some extra cover to work around, so they might try and prioritize something else if they're worried about the defense trying to deal with something like Amira or potentially potentially a Valkyrie.
Well, I'll have to wait and see, just like we're waiting to get this game started right now. Appreciate your patience, folks, with that. We're working on getting ourselves into it as quickly as we can here, so should only be just a few more minutes, and then we'll be able to get into this and see if TSM can capture that major spot. Like the analysis desk said, it's a little bit of a tough one for TSM, given the fact that they need to try and make up a bit of a round difference between them and a few of the other teams, on top of the fact they are also still trying to stay in the top 4 itself, so definitely going to be wanting to try and claim the full 3-point spread, which means they will want to end this game inside of regulation. Don't want to be stretching the envelope too far and trying to go into overtime or something like that, as that would severely hamper TSM's chances of actually making it through into a major position. So we'll have to wait and see if they're going to be able to get that, because like we said, we've already seen Beastcoast and a few of the other teams looking to play spoiler for that and cause a bit more chaos by throwing these teams' chances a bit more awry.
Man, if there's one thing that you should know about North America, it's that we love playing spoils. We might not have anything on the line, but you sure do, which means we have to rip it away from you. That's happened quite a few times this year already, and we have the potential to have it again here. And not only that, but from one of the best players inside of North American history, Slashug, being on Beastcoast and longtime veteran of the game. So it'll be quite the show to see Slash go up against a team that's been together for quite some time, and a few of these players playing for a very long time as well, including Pojo, man, standing behind TSM, one of the legacy players, as well as just one of the most dastardly smokes you've ever seen in your entire life. I was actually watching some of Grant Triple, actually, from Dark Zero, his YouTube channel. He's got a couple of YouTube videos recently on Rainbow Six and some of like the caster calls and some of the greatest moments. Hey, by the way, got one call. Look at me. Yeah. Nice. Hey, you had a couple too. Look at you. Michael was on there as well, and that's where I got to see Pojo's amazing clutch on Clubhouse again, which was, I think, for the NA qualifier, where he just absolutely popped off inside of Armory. So if you guys haven't watched those, make sure to go watch it, especially if you're a newer viewer to Siege. It's just an amazing run through the history of Rainbow Six and some amazing moments that I wish we could relive again. So.
Oh. Almost got denied the fist bump there. I think we got it at the last second. But
speaking of achieved, actually, I'm very happy his hair's grown back to the proportions that it has. So I'm very happy that he's finally getting his full head of hair on his head. Because, like, I mean, the bald look, it was definitely a look, but I wouldn't say it was the look.
Well, he's got it back now, so we don't have to worry about that any further. And you guys don't have to worry about waiting to start the game anymore either, because we're finally going live. Let's get into it. It's our first matchup of the day. Beastcoast up against TSM, as TSM desperately trying to scrounge their way high enough on the rankings to earn a major spot. We'll have to see if they can make it happen. They've got the first ban as well. No surprises here. Finka getting immediately removed from the pool, as she's become more and more of a banned operator here in North America, as I think more and more teams are just getting tired of her.
And I bet you have no idea what I'm about to say right now. This next ban, it's probably going to be Thatcher, if I had to assume. We're getting down here to the wire. Beastcoast sitting on this for some time, or maybe somebody just not clicking onto the actual screen. And either way, it's still going to be Thatcher. So we'll see if Beastcoast is a little bit quicker about their defensive bans. But this is just going to be really limiting for the entry game, the overall HP values of the offense. That's what you're really looking for when it comes to Finka. She has so much potential to assist your team as long as she is alive. And I mean, past that, she has everything else that you would ever want on a Rainbow Six op. You have an LMG with a lot of bullets, a lot of damage value, not too much in the recoil department. You also have frag grenades as well on top of that, so makes it to where she's so very potent. Past that, Thatcher making a lot of sense, and then Mute and Azami gonna be removed from the defensive end. The Mute, the one that stands out the most, obviously. Azami, we were talking about that and the fact that she is the highest ban rate operator currently on the defense side of North America, but for Mute, he's exactly on the opposite end. We don't really see him banned out that often, but there's probably a pretty good reason. The SAS ops are not only extremely influential for the defense, but also Mute jammers are very annoying. It can hold up not only walls, but also drones and everything else in between. And you still have that SMG-11 and that M59. You need to play some closer range or medium range engagements and find some impact through those means. So now that we've gotten through the ban phase, we can stop our bickering about the ops that we have indeed gotten rid of. We can jump into this first defense all the way downstairs for TSM.
It's Sometimes the choice from Beastcoast may have been in part to alleviate some of the pressure with getting onto these sites. Obviously going up against 2 different shotgun operators is going to be quite a task to work with. And then the obvious gain in terms of the intel game as well has its own advantages for Beastcoast by removing Mute. Also just a pretty comfortable pick for a lot of defenders on quite a few of these sites, so he's going to shake things up in the lineup a little bit there as a result of that. Not going to see the immediate response from TSM to go over towards Amazi, which is generally what we would tend to see in response to that, but at the same time, TSM probably thinking they don't necessarily need that denial outright at this point in the game, so not going to be bringing that probably for a few rounds.
Sweater will be initially working his way in through the garage. Has one in split, but most of TSM is spread through these top 2 floors. You have Gio over near Big Tower, a player over in security, and one up top. But Cheetah's going to take some damage, but he should not re-peak this. He really wants to try and play out his life and play for time, force Beastcoast to clear the map, not the other way around. It's going to be Merc, the player inside of Kitchen. He's actually on Oryx, so he'll be able to vacate that area if he so chooses later on. He can get his access to a hatch, but doesn't seem like he's really going to be able to do that just yet. It's actually Cheetah's going to get taken down on the other end, so he's got some bigger fish to fry. It's going to be Bolo up top here, looking for the armory stairwell. Still has to worry about one down low as well. He's going to actually take out Anthony inside of Classroom. That's going to slow down the push just initially, but not before Sweater trades out onto Bolo and Merc with a beautiful shot from Split.
Brings it down to a 3v3. Slash will be getting ready to move himself upstairs to clear out the rest of the TSM defense. But aside from that, we are going to see these players forced back a little bit here. TSM not able to play out their aggression, probably to the fullest extent they would want to now due to that restriction. But thankfully as well, still have a good amount of map control, so might still have some weight to throw around here. Just not going to find it on the freezer side of the map. All the control that TSM has centered almost entirely on the Big Tower portion of the map, which means the BC do have free right to operate on pretty much the rest of the XQ that they would want to go for. It is looking like they want to play heavily into the laundry stairs as well as freezer push right now. So it might be a combined bout from them, especially if they read into the fact that Chal is going to be the only real inside presence here. You'll note that TSM has started to correct that by rotating Geo back down, but at the same time, it's still going to be a 2v3 push with a 3rd player isolated back over towards Big Tower.
Not the worst hold in the world. Definitely doable for TSM as Geo propels himself forward through Freezer. Has to worry about the angle here from Laundry. If it goes too far forward, then will actually end up dying to that player over towards his left-hand side. Surf has a frag grenade out. Don't know where this is going just yet, but it's found a home, and it's found a Geo as Surf will swing off of it. Chala to go down as well. It's all left up to Merc. What looked like a round that TSM could get in a 3 versus 3 has all of a sudden turned into a 3 versus 1 with a post plant as Drip completes that. Merc's going to be inside of Elbow for the start of this, and they already have that info after his initial gunfight where he's lost quite a bit of HP. Going to try and go through the rotate here, at least initially, but at a second glance, he's actually going to slow things down. See if any of the Beastcoast members want to try and challenge. Some nice angles being held across the board here, but it's going to be from the pillar angle, from Surf. Not worried about the soft wall, and Beastcoast make it out of it alive in the first round that TSM desperately needed.
So Beastcoast able to rebound and take control of that first round. Certainly going to be a little bit worrisome for the TSM camp. Thankfully, they played things out a bit more aggressively that round. Took a few risks on trying to kind of weigh out exactly what kind of game Beastcoast was going to play here, so there's still room for quick corrections to come in from TSM, playing to a much more traditional style of Oregon and still be able to hopefully course correct that way. We'll see if that's going to be the case, as they unfortunately won't be able to play directly into that style since they'll be going over here towards the bedrooms next through the dorms upstairs. So they'll have to still extend their game a slight amount just to try and slow down the pacing from Beastcoast. More of a requirement than anything for this site. We'll see when we go back to the basement if any changes will be brought out for TSM.
Now, this is one of the sites where we normally see a Mute brought along for the ride, but since TSM doesn't have access to Mute, they're going to play this out a little bit differently. You've more than likely seen some strategies like this before, but TSM is going to actually open up the master closet to go inside of it from games, and a lot of times we'll see defenders, specifically the SAS ops quite often, play right around that breach so they can use the shotgun to its fullest advantage and try and get some easy picks onto the Beastcoast members working their way in to actually breach said wall. So past that, TSM going to have some setup downstairs inside of Kitchen. Don't know if we're going to have a security player just yet, but I mean, this is looking pretty swell from TSM, at least initially.
Definitely the case here. Not going to see much easy access be prevalent for the Beastcoast rosters. They'll need to set up to clear out a lot. They may not necessarily What's necessary to do so. Good amount of nades, but they'll need to get into position to properly use those. Beastcoast is wasting no time with the clear, though. Slash already working his way into the showers and already with a kill as well. Merc tries to challenge on the alibi from the edge of Yellow Hall and pays the price, and then Slash negotiates in for a second one as well, following the tracers from Bolo and take him down as well.
And that's the thing that you have to worry about. TSM, they're doing their damnedest right now to try and take it to Beastcoast, but as Blue had said earlier, Beastcoast have not a single thing to worry about. They are coasting through this matchup, and more than likely, John, they're just having a whole heck of a lot of fun. And that is possibly the worst case scenario that TSM could have on their hands because, I mean, this is a hotly contested series for them. They have to care. And if they don't, then more than likely, Beastcoast is going to bowl them over. I mean, even past that, if it does get too much of an anxiety-ridden situation, then that could also punish TSM severely as well. You don't want to be having some massive weight on your shoulders while you're trying to perform all at the same time. It doesn't exactly bode that well for quite a few people. So now Beastcoast with their initial 3 picks looking quite swell here in a minute and 20 seconds. Chala's going to be in behind the dorm set. We smoking out big window. Don't know if he is aware that a player will be around white. Achieved will be able to take down at least one, but that's going to be Chala's life now gone. They know that Achieved has to be around somewhere as he just got a kill over on the trophy side. Beastcoast quick to the trigger, and they'll win the round because of it.
Not even having to really negotiate their way past a lot of that utility that was deployed by TSM for the most part. Beastcoast able to outright ignore that. Some really bad signs here for the start of the game for TSM. Going to need to see how quickly they're able to potentially fix their problems.
I'm not going to lie. I really think that if you're going to call a timeout, you call a timeout right now.
That's what I was going to say. Is they're probably going to wait another round because they can see all 3 sites at least, but I would not disagree with it if we went for one right now because this is a really poor start from TSM.
This is just kind of a mental reset moment, and really, really hoping that TSM has this in the bag themselves. I mean, just remember, TSM are hammer lifters. This is not a slouch of a team. This is not something where it's like, oh, TSM just got to the NAL last stage, and they're trying to figure it out. No, not that at all. In fact, we're probably going to be seeing Lamborghinis on the Insta stories here soon once that paycheck hits, you know what I mean? So, but for TSM, I think that they definitely have some options still in their bag, and it's mostly just getting these trades. They're challenging or getting caught off guard, really, in a lot of different circumstances and forcing them into these really awkward situations where they have to try and go for these trades, but it's not exactly a clear-cut situation, like for what happened to Bolo there inside of Showers, where, hey, you just got to kind of pre-fire and really just pray that you get anything there. But what happens, Surf immediately, or rather Slash immediately, takes him down over inside of Cafe. So TSM looking for the mental reset here in round 3. Beastcoast, they've changed some things up a little bit. Slash won't be on the Zofia this time around. Instead, bringing the Nook.
Slight changes to the attacking lineup for Beastcoast here just to try and give a little bit more flexibility. Slash already working his way down through the laundry stairs. Going to see if he can get an opener here, but yeah, has missed the opportunity. The timing just doesn't go his way, unfortunately. So he'll have to back away, and unfortunately won't even be able to back away. Merc decides to insert himself up the freezer stairs and down the class hallway to catch the rotation from Slash as he works his way back up. That'll knock him out, take him down. But Sweater as well now going to be isolated out by Bolo upstairs. So 2 down for Beastcoast. Finally, TSM able to put themselves in the proper positioning this time on this roam, getting way more in the way of Beastcoast clear, and as a result, we're obviously seeing the impact being made before our eyes. Yeah,
really the only difference being that they're winning their ones. Bolo's going to win out his second one, his third one as well. I mean, yeah, it's easy for this guy, except he's dead now, so that's a little bit of a different circumstance, but it doesn't really matter because Drip more than likely not going to clutch this. Do love you, Drip, but it's a 1 versus 4, my friend, and I don't see you getting that far, especially with like 0 presence around downstairs and the potential to have quite a few people on roam. And not only that, but just put some X-Kairos pellets down. You know how loud that is, John? It's very loud, which means that TSM more than likely know exactly where he is, relatively speaking, at the current moment. He'll be able to get rid of the camera outside, but really Drip is just taking some time to be able to talk to his team and see if they can change anything up for round 4.
Drip once again going to try and mask some sound. Also able to open up a few barricades for himself to play into. Not that there's really going to be any huge tactical advantage for that at this point in the round. Like Stokes was mentioning, more so just to mask the entry potentially more than anything else. He'll be able to move forward. Has the pre-fire. Nice shot as well to be able to take out Merc. At least gets away with 1 for himself. But anything beyond this is pretty much going to be nigh impossible to achieve. We will have to wait and see what he's actually able to put up on the board. But
if the crosses are played correctly, John, sometimes you never know. You never know.
Inserts himself through the back stairs. He's going to have to watch out for the player hiding out by Harry Potter. is not going to be able to catch them so easily. More so than anything, too, it's just a feigned tack pause for Beastcoast. They're just going to kind of waste their remaining time on the clock, and this is an opportunity for Beastcoast to figure out what went wrong on that round and not have to waste an actual pause doing it, basically.
Yeah, this is amazing entertainment for everybody at home right now, for sure. No, I think the thing is, past that, is that this is actually longer than a usual timeout as well. So Beastcoast has quite a bit of time to try and figure this out without having to use their tack pause just yet. And also, TSM figuring out their stuff on their end, mostly just the Bolo show really on the top floor, and Beastcoast not respecting him to the fullest, taking a lot of one-on-one engagements and just trying to pick up the pieces after the initial game engagements went arise. So Gio's going to be able to pick up that last kill as Triple finally descend the stairwell and give himself over to the TSM gods. TSM finally with their very first round here in round 3.
Big chip to Bolo for the play on that round, of course, being able to pretty much single-handedly detach the attacker lineup from any viable strat, as we see him get a triple kill, I believe, over the course of this round, and is finally taken out, of course, on the rotation down, but at that point it's left down to a 1 versus 4, so not really a viable win, unfortunately, for Drip. He drops that one. Beastcoast still ahead, though, by 1, but now TSM finally forced onto a new site as they'll be locking Basement away, heading up to Kids instead, where we'll have to see if they can make things up, because arguably this attack from Beastcoast on this site was even cleaner than what we saw back on the first round.
I love how confused Doa was by this question.
Oh, yeah.
It made me so happy inside. I could die happy after seeing that, just knowing that he really didn't know what was going on with the whole banana thing. 57% for Merc, and it damn well should be. I mean, off the banana is on a mission and really holding up the mantle of what Poge was capable of back in the day in very similar circumstances, at least with banana. So TSM, they're going to set things up extremely similar to what we saw the last time for their upstairs defense. They're going to have this extension out towards Cafe. Bolo will more than likely play in this area. I'm assuming Merc will be around Z/bottom white /security and might try and assist Bolo if things start to devolve over on this end of the building yet again. Just to remind you, last time that we saw this, Slash did have quite the entry as, whoa, Merc's going to get caught off guard on the window. Sweater pre-fires the bottom of white. And will be able to take him down. Merc just not having a game today.
Unfortunately, even had the premature warning, too, from the pre-fire before. I think he might have stepped into it thinking that the pre-fire was over with, but then it starts up again and unfortunately knocks his head off. So, unlucky start to the round for Merc. He ends up going down. Beastcoast, of course, more than happy about that, and they're just going to try to carry this forward into an execute. It'll work, too. Slash walks right into Kids, and it's completely undefended. He'll even get a free kill for it. Drip with another one. TSM's defense falling apart at the seams for the second defense in a row on this site. They can do virtually nothing about this retake. Now they've lost virtually all map control in a matter of about 5 seconds. Gio, that's a gun barrel. You're not going to be able to shoot that.
Oh!
And Sir, now ready to take the kill when he swings out. It's an easy win for Beastcoast as they go up to 3 now.
That was a little gross. That was just a tiny bit disgusting. Might need a PG-13 next to that shot. That's all I'm saying. So, Beastcoast, and specifically Drip, just out here. Slash flying in the window, getting this initial frag on T'Challa, immediately slaps the plant down, and TSM are completely caught off guard. And I just want to remind everyone at home, Beastcoast is that team when it comes to Amaru. They really want to Gara hook into your site and get a plant down. We've seen it, I believe, 3 times attempted by this team alone. We've seen some other teams try it like 1 time, but this is the team that you have to be aware that they can potentially throw a rush at you at a moment's notice. And TSM are completely caught off guard, discombobulated in the moment, and they lose the round. Now 3-1, and TSM really have to come back in these next 2 rounds, and that's going to force the tack timeout because of it.
So the expected pause to come from TSM, like we said before, probably expected it to come a few rounds back, but TSM potentially not realizing how dire the situation was until that last round. At least had the correction available to be able to go back to basement and win 1 round there, but the Kids' defense needs a lot of work. This has been 2 very straightforward rounds, at least as far as Beastcoast is concerned, on that upstairs hold so far.
Yes, indeed. And now they're going to throw themselves into the kitchen meeting defense. And this one's pretty unique, especially with the way that TSM has been holding map control for Oregon inside of the first minute. Really extended out towards the sides of the building. So it could be very helpful for them to play this site.
You can see once again the stakes, mainly for TSM here. Obviously, Beastcoast are out of the running for Berlin, but TSM still has a 41% chance to make it through, obviously pending other game results, with a victory here inside side of regulation, but the chances go down to only 9% if they need to push it to overtime. So to emphasize what we were saying before, TSM need to win this in as clean of a fashion as possible, and obviously not doing the greatest job at that right now, as they're down 2 rounds behind Beastcoast on the defensive side of Oregon as well.
Yeah, it's already starting to slip through their fingers and really trying to get in front of this before they get to the offensive end. Want to try and tie things up as soon as humanly possible. That's what we're going to have achieved, more on a forward hold here towards Showers. Real assistance when it comes to the utility department, but doesn't really need it. As long as he is aware of when he is droned out or anything of the sort, then he should be fine to hold on to this for some time. He's going to actually walk all the way over into small tower. Now, this wouldn't exactly be the most helpful if you're worried about the big window, but he's worried about this outside. He is worried about all the way across a big tower. And this angle, it's disgusting, let me tell you, especially if you're able to get a 1.5 or something all the way over here and get some of that magnification to assist you with some of those longer shots. But when somebody as skilled as Achieved, all it's going to take is a moment's notice, and he'll more than likely have a kill on his hands. But even though Beastcoast are not aware of his positioning, they're doing a bang-up job of avoiding him.
TSM continuing to try and bait out the time at the moment. We're going to see Geo continue to wait for an opportunity to frag out, but Beastcoast being a little bit less secure with their at least initial execute this time compared to some of the previous rounds, taking it a heck of a lot slower, building down this time. Good thing is, though, still fairly early in the rounds. This is going to be a huge detraction for them as long as they can correct it, but that's not the way the round starts off. Aggression from Chala is pointed correctly and is able to find Surf, knocking out the sledge from play. First off here, bringing it down to a 5v4.
Well, Geo, prime position right now. How's the angle to play out against Beastcoast? He's going to take a simple misstep inside of tower, and there's a kill, but Beastcoast, they've wrapped around the building, and they take out 2 in the actual site. Merc tries to come back, but they've flooded the kitchen, and the plant's now going down for Drip. He's going to stick that slash overwatches over towards Meeting Achieved, currently inside of Z. But where is Geo at? Geo had such a strong position over near tower, but he's dead in the water. He's still all the way over here, a stick in the mud, and now has to try and clutch out into 1 versus 3, where Beastcoast can take the advantage on the offensive side before switching at half. Geo now working his way through Meeting, has the potential to find the initial one, and he will. Can't get the second though, as Sweater will swing him out, and Beastcoast secure their 4th.
Beastcoast continue to make their mark known inside of this matchup. Continue to play spoiler more than anything for TSM here, dashing their chances to go through to the major, just like we saw for our friends on Mirage a few days back. You guys trusted Nyx before, and now you have to trust Drip to lock out another team here. TSM fairly close to being knocked out of the major entirely if Beastcoast can just pick up 3 more rounds.
The TL is going to be the craziest place if Drip gatekeeps TSM from going to a major. Like, I might have to like put my phone inside of like a biohazard bag to open Twitter at that moment in time. It's going to be just so crazy, but excited to see what's going to happen in you know, these closing rounds here on this map. And it's so weird to be saying closing rounds. We're really only halfway through, but TSM, I mean, they've shown signs of life, but it hasn't been something that's exactly been how do I put this? Really making it to where I want to put all of, you know, my strength and my my will into TSM. I don't really have the utmost confidence in them. It's definitely not something that instills confidence in me, for sure. So for Beastcoast, though, this is looking to be their last offensive round here, either way you cut it. So they're going to be going with a fairly straightforward lineup. The Twitch is actually going to be working her way in here, which we haven't been seeing too much for their offensive side, but always a nice pickup with that F2 and the extra drone that you get with that prep phase drone.
So away from that, things are going to go fairly quiet on the map as TSM calm themselves down. Obviously momentarily, of course, given their strategy over the past few rounds here. We know they want to play quite aggressively, but they need to wait for the right opportunity to do so. So they're going to continue to sit back, wait to see where Beastcoast goes for the initial clear, which is not going to be the usual small tower route. We are going to see a few players try to at least set up to insert themselves through the front lobby and garage area. And a few more members of TSM are going to continue to deploy more so towards the back side of the map that you were seeing set up from before. Geo over the back of Attic there, another player on the back of the tower stairs. Look at their first chance to confront against the BC clear, as now Slash has committed himself to the small tower play. And obviously, as you can see, a few more have inserted themselves over towards the media room connector and front lobby.
Sweater's going to drone Anthony down Laundry stairs. It's a beauty that Sweater picked Twitch here. If he's able to get this drone in, oh, I think he might actually get that mirror window downstairs. Gio's rotating it across upstairs. There's a sledge over inside of his dorms area. He might have this kill. Actually, oh, easy peasy. Lemon squeezy. Gio, don't do that to me. Surf is going to end up dying here. Well, at least have the initial pick, but now Sweater has to go soul searching. There is still a lone soul all the way upstairs. Does Gio try and wean down this timer?
Half the round gone and relatively inactive here. Beastcoast being obviously fairly cautious since they're going to be down a player, so not wanting to take an additional risk on losing another one and put them down to a 3v5. Gio, though, going to potentially take his opportunity since they have the advantage. Did he get spotted by that drone? It would seem as though it's a yes, considering the pre-fire coming out, but it's not effective from Sweater. In fact, Sweater himself dropped to only a sliver of HP now. He's going to have to try and hide this out in the corner, hoping to get lucky with the headshot play against Gio, but not going to be able to find it so easily. You can see other members of Beastcoast also trying to help out here, isolate Gio, but so much time is being wasted as a result of this. Realistically, yeah, even if Gio gets iced out here, he's still going to be in a good position because he's going to leave the members of Beastcoast with only 40 seconds to execute into the site with a player down and potentially a second one about to die as well.
Now, the big thing for TSM is that they cannot overswing here. It's going to be a very decisive moment for them when they're able to actually battle back against Beastcoast. That's not the opener that you're looking for as Dribble take down Merc. Bolo has to try and play this out from the freezer hallway, but he's been discovered. He's going to get it down, but they're actually going to be able to take out Shala behind him as well. Bolo for 2, Bolo for 3. Bolo's clutching it out. He's got the pistol! Bolo will keep TSM alive. The hot-handed young blood will get it done. And they'll at least be able to slow down Beastcoast before the half switches.
That's 2 rounds today for Bolo, shutting it down for TSM. Did so, on the upstairs hold earlier on in this match as well. And now doing it again on the final round of the first half inside of the basement hold. Absolutely beautiful play from the man himself, the one that many come to know as the star of this team, is looking to reclaim that title once again as TSM finally get another round going before we indeed, as Stokes was mentioning, switch sides here, put Beastcoast onto the defensive end of things. We're already going to get some small change-ups to the player lineup. Heavier emphasis on mitigation coming in for BC as they're going to bring both the Jaeger as well as the Wamai. Different form of slowdown, though, is yes, they'll also have the smoke, but they are also going to bring the Tachanka from Anthony's POV to try and also add an additional layer of slowdown for TSM's clear.
So are you a big fan or are you a massive fan of this? Because there's not really any other option. You can't say Chanka is a negative thing because that's kind of against the code. So, I mean, personally, I think that this is beautiful because really what this is a TSM strategy, if anybody remembers. TSM is actually the team that hallmarked this, where Tachanka will hold down Freezer and Smoke will hold down Laundry, and you have 2 denial ops for the forward way of taking the site that can seriously hamper a lot of the offense's ways to actually get in. So they have to eventually rotate around to the other end, and if Tachanka still has utility, then he can get in the way yet again. It's just a really long delay game, and Beastcoast trying to make it even worse by placing Sweater on the roam near the main stairs.
Sweater going to be in a bit of a precarious position, so not too surprised that he ends up backing away from that as quickly as he does. But Stokes, you could hear him getting a little bit worried for a reason. So reason for that, rather, to correct myself, is Sweater is going to have to go through a heck of a lot of crosses to be able to get somewhere even remotely safe. And
that's
yeah,
why.
there's just no escaping it when the drones are that hot on your tail. Bolo has a fairly easy time locking out Sweater. That's as well not going to waste a whole bunch of time in terms of being able to knock him out. Only about a minute drained off the clock in the process of doing so. So still plenty of time for TSM to worry about the rest of their clear.
Yeah, the first time that you get taken out by Stellar droning, it's like the weirdest time you've ever played Rainbow Six. It's like this person just randomly peeked an angle and just instantaneously died. Like, it's some of the wackiest stuff ever. But like, funny enough, when the original time that happened to me was the qualifier for like SI 2017 for the consoles, and I was playing against Redeemer from OXG, and we were playing Clubhouse, and they actually just smoked us because of droning. Like, that stuff is worth its weight in gold, and that shows you exactly why. Look at how much pressure they put on Sweater just coming from the main stairs, all the pre-fires he had to go through, that angle that I was worried about and you were talking about out on Master. There's so many little things that you have to be very aware of when you're roaming like that because of the info that the offense can get, and it makes it a really, really difficult job. And you know, that's why a lot of the times we talk about how your main job really isn't killing things, it's delaying that time and trying to get that timer down to about the halfway mark. Now that won't be accomplished this time around, but TSM, they're not exactly making the greatest of headways. Have at least gotten some aspects of things wrapped up, and they're starting to drain things on site, but this is still going to leave the door open for Beastcoast to delay, and win round 7.
Because I'm trying to make these angles work, but the delay is holding them up to a huge degree right now. This is why they brought this, but they also have to be careful as these nades are just as dangerous. Cross now being established by Bolo, but he can't follow it through as Surf swings out for a second time. He's able to pick up a response. Unfortunately, it's not making up a huge difference.
Oh no!
Surf with the sidearm about to save the day here. Knocking out 2 players back-to-back on top of that 3rd kill he already got. Had the pre-fire for Geo as well, but just can't land the shot. He shuts it out for TSM instead, and they take a 3rd round. Only 1 behind. The results coming in from Beastcoast now.
Geonidas, a knight in shining armor from Pillar. Very scary fight there as well, as Surf literally pixels away from his noggin as he rounds the pillar at the other end of the hallway. And TSM are able to bring this 1 step closer to tying up with Beastcoast, currently 4-3 in favor of BC. They're feeling like a defense downstairs yet again could potentially be the game changer here. Not going to have too much of a change-up, minus the Warden coming in, and they'll also end up dropping the Chonka because of that, but we're still going to have the mirror windows and everything else in between.
Well, Beastcoast still ahead, but now losing their opportunity to actually surge ahead. Have to be able to solidify things on this round. They are going to change up the strategy to be able to do it. As you guys may have already noticed, much less of an emphasis on the slowdown this time. Obviously, the smoke being the exception to that. Instead, they're going to bring that mirror. And we talked about what kind of power she can bring to bear earlier on when we were about to start this match, and we're about to finally see what exactly that will show up. As Slash is going to be able to mount those mirrors, one going inside of the freezer wall. Looks like another one probably going to be deployed to that interior laundry closet to be able to fend off more aggressive peaks from TSM. Obviously, this isn't going to do anything against a play from the back side of the map. If TSM want to go for a backstairs or construction execute, but we have been seeing TSM try to play a little bit more into that front side based off the first round, so we'll have to see if they'll directly contest against those mirrors this time around.
All right, well, drones out for a TSM, attempting to clear the mid-floor, and it shouldn't be too hard. Why? Because all of Beastcoast is downstairs, so they're not going to have to look too far to be able to know that things are clear. This is going to allow TSM some early control. I also love the fact that Bolos brought Flores. Reason being, and I really don't know why we didn't see this when Beastcoast was on offense, they banned Mute. You banned Mute. Why are we not using Flores here? Flores is like, that's his direct counter, you know, I mean, and nobody really plays Mozzie anymore, but, you know, hey, it is what it is. But TSM are definitely going to be able to use these Rotero drones to a pretty incredible result, mostly because of the deployable shields that'll be set up for Beastcoast on defense. Those Rotero drones will be able to get rid of that, and they also circumvent all of Surf and Drip's utility. They can't stop that drone from going in there and exploding. So this is a really, really good pickup from TSM, and really good idea or really good general sense of what is going on with the meta and the way that these operators affect each other.
Be curious if Beastcoast kind of expected a bit more Mozzie to come out from TSM in the previous step, and that's why they generally tended to avoid Flores, or if there was some other reason, such as just doesn't really work into their playstyle. Either way, you make an excellent point, and I'm curious now as to why we weren't seeing more of it previously, as TSM looking to try and open up as many options as possible to work their way into the rest of the depths of this basement. Surf ready to challenge against the initial backstairs clear, but won't get the opportunity to frag here. Unfortunately, Drone's going to spot him out. That'll flush him down. Should flush him even further back, but he actually, oh no, he hasn't noticed this drone sitting on the edge of the construction doorway. That's going to leave him exposed and in a bad position. BC getting blinded out there as well. The execute from TSM has to be coming in at any moment. Work the player player that had thrown those stuns in against our player playing construction, now having to drop in through E. There's going to be a toxic babe directly in the way as they go for it, however, but they're still able to negotiate a 1-to-1 even exchange. And more importantly, Merc gets himself territory inside of the site. However, that's going to be immediately negated now by Slash's Nitro. This is such an awkward fight, though. We have these Maverick holes that have been made by Chala. It's not really doing favors for either team, though, as kills are being fought from both sides of the angle. Surf with a big pickup, though, may have made up the difference for BC, as now Gio's left alone. No case control either. Only 20 seconds to clutch the 1v2. He's going to attempt to creep forward. You can see there, however, as he stops down this hallway, he's a little bit unsure about the positions of the final two players. Just going to have to guess for it, and unfortunately doesn't get the right read. Surf with one more on the board for BC. And they pick up yet another round, just 2 away now from shutting out the opportunity for TSM to go to the major.
Now TSM having to pick up, I do believe, 4 rounds in a row in order to win this in regulation and give themselves the best advantage that they can potentially muster at the current moment in order to get to Berlin. This is for all the marbles, folks. Beastcoast are getting so very close to forcing this to overtime. If you're a TSM fan, you really don't want to see BC get this next round, but they have so many chances to push on to that penultimate point.
Indeed, 2 rounds of a cushion now, where they even have to start worrying about things. And in all honesty, like we said, at the end of the day, Beastcoast do not have to worry about anything ultimately, as their chances have already been dashed. They're just playing this for the fun and the experience of going up against the world champs, not to mention potentially try out a few things in the strat book as well, seeing as they're going to have a few months off between now and stage 3. Away from that, not going to see anything too crazy in terms of the defender-sided lineup here. Just the usual assortment, especially considering what we were seeing in the previous round too, that Warden's going to make another return for Sweater, so going to be interesting to see where specifically he's going to be playing. Drip going wild, though, with the outdoor swing. Mark, in the meanwhile, also gets contested by another member of the squad. Slash apparently tried to push out against him. I guess it was over here to the front door. As up, we're also going to see some damage going to Merc, but quite obviously Merc's able to trade that damage back and knock Slash out of the play entirely. So far, TSM winning in the opening gunfights.
Yeah, but just give it a moment here, John. I'm telling you. Oh, Sweater, you're not gonna. Oh, I swear, I thought he was gonna nitro sell the van, and I was about to be like, are we in my ranked games? Like, what is happening right now? Oh, we're gonna push in from the Nook. No, actually, Merc second guessing it. Doesn't want to push out just yet, and he really shouldn't. Such low HP, no one really able to work off of him either. He's kind of waiting for the counter angle here as of right now, and that's going to be it. Nothing really to do with that situation there. It's going to be an easy headshot for Sweater, so the HP didn't even matter at the end of the day.
Timer down to 2 minutes now, and everything's going to go quiet for a moment. Obviously, as we had that awkward gunfight at the beginning of the round, bringing us down to a 4v4 ultimately. So TSM have to figure out what they can exactly negotiate towards with the reduced numbers now. They'll also have to account for any changes that may have happened in the BC lineup. But meanwhile, it seems that Surf's just going to take the initiative on his own like we saw in the previous round. He'll run right out through top white and catch a Curious Bolo to be able to knock out the Yana. That removes that additional droning utility in the form of the Gemini. 2 nades also knocked out of the round now too. Thankfully, TSM has 4 more aside from what was bought by Bolo. And technically, they started this round with 8, assuming Merc had also selected it. So quite a bit being brought into the fray from TSM to try to knock out this utility from down below.
Yeah, they're doing such a good job of catching TSM off guard. It just seems like Beastcoast has been working on the Siege Sucker Punch, constantly able to pick off players without anyone really aware of what's going on at that moment. So it's been pretty interesting to watch so far. Chala's going to hold across here, at least for some time. Everything's so very quiet as of now. TSM really not knowing where to go, and really, I mean, where do you? Everything's smoked off. Gio can't just like hop inside of the main window. He'll immediately die. He's got some stuff to burn out here, but if he doesn't want to miss time, then those will just turn back on, and then his last stun's not going to be effective anyways. Nice shot there from Achieve, but Sweater will take down one, and so will Surf. It's going to be all up to Achieve now. With Frag Grenade out, it's going to deal some damage to him, and so will Surf with an immediate headshot as Beastcoast will go up onto map and match point. And you can just tell how nonchalant BC is at the current moment. If BC was one person, they're drip bulling, tossing a hot hands up and down.
I want to see him juggle those by the end of the game. Let's go. Come on.
I don't know if he's got any juggling skills.
Do 2 at once. Let's see it. Admins, tell him.
The hot and special.
No.
Well, 2 with 1 hand. That's talent right there. That is talent right there. But we're going to get back into the game now, folks, and some interesting series of events, I would say, Blue. What's your thoughts on what's been going on here, man? Like, TSM, they're just not really looking like the greatest form of themselves at the current
I mean, the
moment.
last 2 rounds, they just haven't been prepared for any of the aggression that's been swung out against them. If we're being completely honest, Surf on his own has stunted most of the execute power from TSM over these past 2 rounds just by kind of like randomly peeking a few angles, and that's pretty much it at the end of the day. We've been seeing him play into white stairs in the previous round that caught Bolo off guard. Pretty sure he did get at least 1 more kill, and then of course the basement play too, where he's just constantly popping out of corners, getting in the way. TSM just don't know where and when to expect it from, and as a result of that, they are constantly being forced back into a corner, trying to figure out what to do next, only to run into that same pitfall again like 30 seconds later.
Yeah, Surf has most definitely been the thorn in the side of TSM that's been constantly, slowly bleeding them out. Whenever he's able to fire back and get a big kill, it usually means that Beastcoast is set up for success. And, I mean, we've seen that throughout this series thus far. Beastcoast is going to select Kitchen and Meeting as their potentially last defensive site, as TSM's going to need 3 rounds just to make it to overtime. They're going to lose one of their initial drones as wow, TSM. What are we doing here, folks? This drone game is terrible. 2 down, 4 down, 5, 6, 7 drones
really?
in
What
less
happened?
than 30 seconds. Slash is killed. I'm going to call it right here, guys. Like, this is not a round for TSM.
That's
like,
got to be the earliest I've ever seen a drone count that low.
especially for TSM. Like, where's the mental?
Quite
Like,
literally in my entire Siege career, I've never seen a drone count that low this early in the round.
that's not a good sign at all.
It's even worse, too, because Beastcoast, you know they're going to double down on their aggression because
course.
they brought Thunderbird. So they know they want players rolling out, you know, maybe taking a bullet or two, then running back into sight, juicing themselves up real quick, and then going back out again. So how is TSM going to course correct for this?
Well, Merc's going to be able to at least pick up one, but Sweater's going to immediately fire back.
Oh,
Gio with
Gio,
a
though.
beautiful kill. That was a clutch if I ever saw it.
All right.
They're trying to pick it up now. And, I mean, I think TSM has just thrown it to the wind. They don't care about drones. They don't care about anything, not even their own body. They're just throwing it at the wall and hoping that it sticks. It's going to be a 2 versus 2. Chala's putting the plant down inside of Meeting, and Gio's got the overwatch, and he's got this player moving in from the split side, or rather the stage side, as he plays inside of split. We'll be able to at least take down Anthony, and I cannot believe my eyes, ladies and gentlemen. Chala and the rest of TSM clutch out with literally 0 info game. They rotate around the building, and they decimate Beastcoast as they're just very lackadaisical over on the tower and Meeting side and get caught completely off guard. What a clutch from the TSM lineup.
Gio decides to fight fire with fire here, at least with regards to the entry game. Brute forces his way, and as Stokes is mentioning, quite literally was 0 intel game. They only had 3 drones left, so what game could they have realistically had at that point? Regardless, though, Gio is able to make it work, finds a hole in the defense, and through that and a few other nice exploitations from TSM, they are able to get that surprising 4th round up onto the board. Still match point for Beastcoast, though, as they head back to the basement now to try to lock things in here. Well, they'll have this round and one more opportunity to end it in regulation and hand TSM a 0-pointer for the day.
Yeah, that was a nail-biter right there. Even a team like TSM, when you're that low on drone count that early in the round, there's really not much that you can do. You're really banking on the fact that you can try and find some things through game sense, and that's exactly what happened there for them. They can't capitalize on any of the early info because they lost 7 drones inside of the first 30 seconds. It's not something that you really ever
6.
see. What, you're kidding?
They're down to 4 already.
What? What? Oh, no.
Oh, okay,
no.
yeah, no, that
So
was just a respawn. Sorry, yeah, that's my bad. I forgot
yeah.
it refreshes when we go
Yeah,
back
it
into
splits
action phase.
itself. Yeah,
my bad.
No, it is your
I was
bad.
like
It is
so
your bad,
excited
Doug.
because it happened the last year. I was like, there's no way it just happened again. Then I realized that, oh wait, there can't be more than 5 drones locked out. So.
No, if it did, I wouldn't want to be in the TSM house when they got home because Pojo be going nuke.
Yeah. So it's better. Ignore what I just said, folks. They do have 9 this time, so they're doing much better so far with regards to that. As we see them move in for their initial clear here, just the usual small tower clear first to start things off. And then we'll have the rest of the team working their way in through lobby. Not going to see any surprises more than likely. Even BC has a fairly reserved composition, playing it almost entirely on the horizontal basis this time. So not going to see any shenanigans pop out probably within these first 2 minutes, as it'll mainly just be both teams trying to gather intel.
Yes, indeed. And we will keep you updated on the drone game. And as of right now, looking pretty stellar. They've only lost a singular drone, apparently. And I think that was Merc's, one of his Twitch drones, I'm assuming. But either way, Merc's actually going to end up working his way down towards the bottom of Armory. And the rest of TSM still working on the mid floor. Chala's going to end up getting open these hatches so that they can start trying to build things up towards an execution here. Merc's actually going to take some damage from the bottom of the stairwell as he peeks things out. He's going to deal more than he... Well, actually, no, I am very, very wrong about that. Slash is actually going to be the one that deals more damage than he receives, as Merc is going to take some heat, but neither player going down to a detrimental amount just yet. Also, a little bit of an update as to the site setup. Slash has actually lost his mirror window to one of Merc's drones. And speaking of drones, Bolo's now going to make a nice rotation here inside of the freezer wall. Open that up, make things a little easier to deal with the hallway.
Gio gets the nade toss in and is going to try and isolate out mainly just the utility here. It's not really going to force Anthony back just yet either. He wants to play this out because he has the Toxic Babe, so is at least going to get a small damage advantage should someone from TSM decide to press their way through his setup here. Going to go for it, but quite expectedly, Anthony is very much ready for that, so there's no problem shutting down the play. And oh no, Merc assuming that there wouldn't have been enough confidence from Anthony to play around the corner. He is dead wrong about that, and a free second kill is just gifted over to Beastcoast. Slash now knocking out another member of the squad. Chala really the lone member with any interior sight control over by Pillar. He's going to try to wrap it over and attempt to take out Anthony. Works out there, but the problem is he's lost Achieved halfway in the process now fully from the Nitro cell. Chala is the only player remaining here. The world champions are just one frag away from losing their chances at a major yet again, and it's looking more and more like it's about to happen. So close to the kill on Drip, but can't confirm it. He's a bullet off. There we go. Makes up for it, but it's not going to be enough. Sweater closes down, and that's going to be Beastcoast denying the Berlin entry for TSM.
TSM has not been out of the US since SI in Sweden. Well, they ended up lifting a hammer. Stage 2 is going to come to a disastrous end for them as they were searching, seeking, trying to get to Germany, trying to get their tickets punched. And it's going to be Beastcoast to sweep those chances under the rug. A fantastic game here on Oregon, a map that TSM thought that they could get over on a feisty BC, but clearly not. Getting away with things all the way down to an Amaru plant inside of dorms. It was a heck of a game in between these two.
Just, let's be real about it. Way too sloppy today from TSM. Gonna need to make sure they spend some time.
Is that Larch in a suit?
I think it is.
That is Larch, you look so sexy, my man. Look at you, you beautiful bastard. Wow. Either way, though, what were you going to say? I'm sorry. I got lost in Larch's eyes there for a second. Oh, my gosh.
Bit of a sloppy game today from TSM. Definitely going to need to make sure they work on that in between the stages, but we've got people a lot smarter than us to talk about this stuff. We're going to go to a quick break, ladies and gentlemen. When we do come back, we've got your analysis desk ready to break the game down.
Know the deal, know what's up. Too much for the books, then I put it in a tuck. Too much for the tuck, then I give it to my love. Once I make $1 million, man, $1 million won't be enough. Watch me fake the struggle while I get it off the hush. Now it's JetBlue miles, Rolex dials, frowns turn to smiles. Summertime and then wild. Now as you come to an end. Summertime and then wild. And the fall's upon us. I want you to bring that energy. Summertime and then wild. Until next year. Summertime and then why? And why? Summertime and then why? Yeah. We gone. Beat by Apollo. Apollos. Copper Handy sour, and I'm puffing Jack Sour. Yeah, I feel a black power. Yeah, this time is really ours. It's time to get the bag. Yeah, it's time to get the bag. Yeah, yeah. Dollars coming, let me see it. Multi-million, I'm a bid. On a mission, best believe it. Ask for it, you receive it. Dollars coming, let me see it. Multi-million, I'm a bid. On a mission, best believe it. Ask for it, you receive it. Ask for it, you receive it. Got it locked, put the key in. Got them looking, yeah, they praying. She like, I like what I'm seeing. Now we up, they agreeing. Play full, yeah, we eating. Now you can't ignore this feeling.
Welcome back to the Rainbow Six North American League. As you can see, sadly, TSM a bit free SM today as they are eliminated once again, I believe, in 9th place for the second stage in a row. A little bit tragic if you're a TSM fan, but what can you say? They look so good at the beginning of the stage and then such a precipitous drop-off, unlike any we've seen before, rarely seen at least.
No, quite literally never seen. Now what we're looking at is a case where the current world champions have never had a performance this bad in the 6 months immediately following their invitational win. 9th place for 2 consecutive stages. How many SI points do the current world champions have leading into next year's SI? That's right, 0. This is the freest TSM has ever been.
Yep, that's true. And to talk about that a little bit more, we have none other than Drip waiting to chat with us over in Las Vegas. Drip, congrats on the win today. So it was...
I'm sorry, I'm
you
just
look a little
wiping
broken
away
up
the
there.
tears. I had to eliminate my favorite team.
Do you have any dollar bills you can
really
do it with?
sad.
That would be better for the clip.
Talk us through the emotions you're feeling right now.
If I'm being honest, it does not feel that good because once again, if we'd be in Astralis, we'd be at the major or in contention right now. So today's win is at the end just nothing. Like our season was over. We were pathetic towards the end. Now I know how Mirage feels after every win, and it sucks. Like, your season's over, but still win. It's like it's meaningless.
So going forward, you've got a little bit longer break then to work on some things, right? What do you think is the first thing that's going to get addressed when you start to practice again for stage 3?
Just got to close out games. We were 5-3 versus Mirage, 6-3 versus Astralis. I mean, if we get 3 rounds to go our way, we're number 1 in the region right now. I mean, it's one of those things. It's like just got to close out games. We were able to close out today, and it was no problem. It's just got to translate to the better teams. You can, can't let Astralis come back 6-3, can't blow 5 threes against teams like Mirage, and that's the difference between top 4 NA and not is 2 to 3 rounds.
Yeah, fair enough.
For this specific TSM matchup, though, it looked like in layman's terms, it was just a matter of move fast against this TSM team, get early man advantage, and just try to move on from there. What was actually happening under the hood to make sure that you got this win over TSM today?
We just had a bunch of good calls. I mean, their defenses are very slow and default. I know it sounds weird to say their defense are slow, but they don't really push anything. You just kind of play their cutoffs. We had some good calls on attack. Not trying to toot my own horn, but the green call, that's not something that's put in the CGG to flood green and take kitchen right there. But plays like that, they were just very easy to read. Their defenses were easy to pick apart, and it just felt very, very easy. They were very predictable.
Drip, stats-wise throughout this stage, you've been a team that have been kind of top-heavy on your players. You've had Sweater, you've had Surf, you've had Slash, really that have been top in the CGGs, and then you and Anthony are typically more towards the bottom. Is that okay with your team? Is that kind of the way that you guys like to play? Or is that something that you want to maybe spread it a little bit more for stage 3?
That's a hard one to answer because last stage we were very spread out. I had a lot of pop-off games last stage. This stage I played more support-oriented, even though I am a hard support player. But the results were the same. We have 13 points. I think the difference is both formulas work for us. It's just a matter of closing out one more game a stage, and we'd be at both majors. Again, it's like we tried everything. We tried Anthony on Iona today, and it seemed to work well. So, a little bit of a rule change before this game, but. I mean, we feel like both formulas can work. It's just up to us to win 1 or 2 more rounds of stage.
Super general question, and it might be the kind of thing that you can't answer quite yet, but you came into stage 1 with a brand new team. It was only Anthony remaining from last year into this year. You've got 2 stages under your belt, even though neither one of them necessarily went the way that you were hoping for. You had chances to qualify for both majors. What do you see for this team moving into stage 3? Are you foreseeing this exact lineup staying together as you move forward for the rest of the year?
I guess we'll see. I mean, who knows? Maybe tomorrow I'm going to get a call from the boss and get moved to content the way I've been playing. But I mean, I guess we'll see. We're so close, but so far. So I mean, hey, if you guys see me, on the Desk Nest stage, it was fun playing. But I mean, that's the way life goes. But
I'll keep a spot warm for you, dude. The box is right
yet.
here.
Yeah.
All right.
I that spot's mine, right in between Doa and Jesse.
I'll move a little bit over. We'll make some room.
Thank you.
So one more quick question before we let you go then. Obviously we talked about another long break before stage 3. I'm curious, what do you got in mind for just unwinding a little bit after today's done?
I mean, I'm one of those people that's pissed off. I hate watching other teams win. I'm an NA hater. We're all friends behind the scenes, but I hate seeing DZ win a major. That pisses me off thinking about it. Like, I want to be up there. I know they're probably clowning me right now. Oh, another stage where he didn't make the major. To which I will say, I will watch all your games. I'm not. There's no unwinding for me. I'm POFG. I'm pissed off for greatness. I'm so mad right now.
All right. Well, I like the fire. I hope you find a little bit of peace in the offseason anyway, but I like the fire and the confidence going into stage number 3. So best of luck with the prep in the offseason. Thanks for taking the time to chat with us, and we'll see you again soon.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right, there is Drip from Team Beastcoast. Bit bittersweet to get the win over TSM. You knocked them out at least. The revenge of Drip, but at the same time, Beastcoast not going to the major either. But TSM, what a puzzling, disappointing end to what looked like such a promising stage for them.
Yeah, great game overall, though, from Beastcoast. I mean, coming through here, I thought Slash had a fantastic start to the game, even though he's 4th on his team for frags. Really was finding those impacts for the opening kills in the first half, managing to find a lot of those, a lot of good plays from him playing on the Zofia, on the Amaru, whatever he had to play. I like that a lot from Beastcoast. Of course, also big game from Surf, who really did pop off more towards the end of that half. I thought he was a fantastic player for Beastcoast on their defense, just really closing things down.
Yeah, I'll take nothing away from how Beastcoast performed here. I loved how they took those advantages. Sometimes it was a 5v3, and then as soon as they had something basic like that, ensured that there weren't that many trades for the first, like, say, 4 or 5 rounds when they were on attack. It felt like it was dismantling TSM's overall approach. And Drip kind of has a point. It did feel like maybe TSM aren't nearly that mobile or that fluid when they're playing on defense, to a point where it took several rounds in for Geo to have any real impact on a solo roam for it to break down Beastcoast's overall attacking strategy. It just feels like Beastcoast really had their number and decided early aggression is the way to go. And that Amaru play that we saw on Dorms was like a perfect example of exactly how TSM's entire strategy was broken down here.
Yeah, there you go. Let's check out some standings, and there we are. And we know TSM needed to not only win it, but they needed to win it big too. So when the round started not going their way, it became less and less likely that they were going to make it through, even with an overtime win. But the really concerning thing is that by finishing 9th, once again, they do not get SI points. It is rough. Meanwhile, Beastcoast vaulting all the way up to 5th.
So technically, TSM fans, I'm going to give you the tiniest bit of hopium here. If SSG get like 7-0'd, they're at -9 round diff, they would fall below TSM.
Oh, that's true.
So if SSG get absolutely stomped, or even technically if Dark Zero gets 7-0'd, we could see TSM climb out of 9th. But I mean,
I doubt it.
See, there's a chance. But
that's even like great. You get 8th, right? Like that's not nothing to celebrate really.
Yeah, but it's shocking though. The end of stage 1, TSM and Mirage at the bottom of the standings. End of stage 2. I mean, Mirage down there, but TSM, if you asked us 2 weeks ago where TSM was going to finish the stage, we'd be like, oh, are they going to major? Probably.
I mean, if we cut back, I don't know, if we can, great. That standings graphic that we had at the very beginning showing where everybody was at the end of every single Playday. Remember where TSM was after Playday 4? They were all the way at the top. They were in first. Now they're back down here.
That's right. Well, let's check out a couple individual rounds from the map before we move on. Let's look at round number 4 first. And this was just really fun to execute from Slash. This was showing how Beastcoast was able to get in there, get aggressive, get it done fast.
After the opening pick, I loved the executes that we saw coming in from Beastcoast. This was an Amaru Ying. This one was a little flashier than some of the other pushes that we saw Beastcoast utilizing, but the theme was fast, coordinated pushes every single time with multi-dimensions. Slash through the window, Sweater through the big window, another player coming in from tower side, from attic. So it's nice how consistently we're seeing these players flood in from different directions. The Amaru and Ying, a couple of different operators you don't see every day being utilized to make that push happen so quickly, so effective. And TSM felt like they were getting caught off guard on those defenses every single time. They didn't know where those roam clearers were. They didn't know where the push was coming from. And because of that lack of intel, they were always losing those rounds.
Every time you see a Ying or an Amaru enter a play like that, you always figure, what's the unorthodox way you're getting used this time, huh? Because we're so used to Siege being played in such a very, not melodramatic, but a very repetitive way with some of the same operators time and time again. And then you see an Amaru get picked, and you know somebody's about to make either a really smart or a really dumb play, and Beastcoast pull it off essentially perfectly.
I love it. I love seeing that Amaru stuff. It's one of my favorite ways to get into a building in Rainbow Six. It's fun. But we got another round to look at. Now, TSM did have some round wins, obviously, a lot of them coming off the back of some great individual play from Bolo from time to time. When does Bolo play? Well, you just missed it, but in case you
won't
did,
play for another 2 months.
Here's a nice replay to watch, round 6.
I mean, this was one of the only times we saw TSM necessarily do anything, and it's because of the way that Bolo holds from this position directly to Chala's left, right here. He's going to keep on holding this angle down through Freezer. He's already, what, did he get the first kill on Surf? I don't think it was, but he ends up getting a 4K as this round goes and progresses. He still has all of these guys left to find. One down in Freezer, another one is about to come in right there. All he does is swing. He just finds a couple of heads. That shot back through main stairs, Drip absolutely should have had him there, and I was shouting for him to get down. He should have, like, as far as I'm concerned, if it means proning to ensure that the Yana back inside closet doesn't immediately then swing back over, maybe lob a nade in to try to force him out. Technically, Bolo should have died, but he still whips out the Keratos, pings the last guy, and that's how they got, what, I think it was their second round. I think this was round 6, right?
I mean, and Bolo needs to win that round because, like, the rest of his team was falling apart. Drip goes prone inside of Laundry, and Merc walks into his angle. The rest of the Beastcoast were getting the frags there. So, thankfully, Bolo had a couple of nice plays that game. But, again, silver lining for TSM, I don't think
it's also still not sustainable if it's one player pulling that off constantly.
Not at all. You need to have that team effort that we saw at the 6 Invitational earlier this year. Now, that team has, it was here for a brief moment in stage 2, gone again. We'll see if that team returns for stage number 3 or what shape TSM is in, because they're done. Not going to see them in Berlin. Going to have to wait until September to watch TSM play again. But we are far from done for the final day here in stage number 2. We've got an amazing match coming up next. It's going to be Parabellum, number 2 in the standings, versus Sonics, number 3 in the standings. Winner, I believe, just moves on to the major. That's right. It's a win and you're in situation for both of these teams. Do not miss it when we come back here in the Rainbow Six North American League.